The markets have been insane, and we have the triple witching tomorrow. We need to talk about that and do some updates. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and I was in Marshall's the other day, and I was walking through the aisles, and suddenly I heard a lot of rhythmic speaking and some heavy bass, and that's when I realized I was walking by the wrapping paper. All right, here we go. If you watched my morning video, you'll notice that my floral necklace is now gone. I took it off, left it upstairs, and the baby's sleeping. I'm not going to go chasing it right now. I don't want to wake that baby, because then that means facing the wrath of my wife, and oh my goodness, hell hath no fury like a mother scorned. So let's move on from there into the markets themselves. And so we're going to look at the Qs, we're going to look at the SPY, we're going to look at IWM, which tracks the Russell 2000. So I hope you were watching my videos back in November when I was talking about it, because man, oh man, has it pumped since that time, and it's been incredible. I'll also talk about a few specific stocks and about the performance that I've had in my own portfolio with some of the plays that I've done that I want to share with you, just to tell you about how they went. If you want to see all my buys and sells, it's available over at the Patreon, and then also my options course is there if you can see how to amplify your portfolio. And then of course we have the free stocks from Moomoo that I'll tell you about later. In the meantime, I do want to get right into the charts today to talk about these things. So let's get into the technical analysis of what's going on and what could possibly be to come. So let's put this up here. We're looking at QQQ, which tracks the NASDAQ 100, and we had a nice little red candle day today, and you might be able to see these laggards over here, that 4 out of the top magnificent 7. So we have Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, all down for the day. And as a matter of fact, Apple almost even. And then we had Nvidia in here. I shouldn't have been clicking it because I wanted to stay where I was at. That went up about 0.5%, which, mind you, didn't join the party the way the other big mega cap stocks did. So for them to have a positive day, not so bad. You can see a really narrow range body candle that we have here. Tesla actually having the big day, up about 5%. Where did we close? 251.05. That's absolutely awesome. I'll give an update on Tesla as well. Let's get back to the Qs on this one, though. If I can actually press the right buttons, it will most certainly help. There we go. I never claimed to be coordinated. So for what we have on the Qs, we made it up to that all-time high. Yesterday, we broke it. Today, did we close up above the previous all-time high? So we closed at 403.39, and the all-time high was 403.44. So we're actually down below, back where we were back in November of 2021, but still an incredible time in the markets. And I think that we're going to see a little bit of sector rotation going on, moving out of some of the big cap plays. Although I think that they're not down and out. I think they're just down for now. And I think that'll put in some more buying opportunities for us as some of the other stock plays that were beaten down start to get more expensive. People's eyes are going to go back to big tech, and we're going to see further rallies in there. I think it should be a good time in the markets overall. I think that, like I said in my video a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, I don't know, the days all blurred together at this point in time. I still believe that there's more punch left in the party. Even if we do settle in the near term, we'll see what the triple witching day does. We have like $5 trillion in options expiring, and so there's going to be a lot of sector rotation that happens with that, and also rolling options to avoid expiration, and that's going to cause some volatility in the high volumes that we have in there. So what could we have coming up for QQQ tracking the NASDAQ 100? Well, we could come back to support right about 394, or actually even 400 as that round number of support would be something to watch for. Is it possible that we come back to that 400? I certainly think so. As a matter of fact, the bottom of this, we actually came down to $400.34 on the Qs when we look at this one, and that was a crazy dip in the middle of the day. And mind you, I make some of these call outs throughout the trading day in my day trade channel for anybody who's wishing to day trade these things. Sometimes I'm able to get into them, but sometimes for the workday I'm not able to get into them. But when I am in, I'll say that I'm in, and when I'm out, I'll say that I'm out. So that's the Qs, and mind you, the Qs for the day, where did we perform at? We performed almost even, negative 0.09. S&P outperforming because it doesn't have that same big cap concentration or tech concentration that we have in the Qs. So even though we find the same stocks pretty much in the S&P, we also have all the bank stocks to really help push things up as well, and a lot of other beaten down stocks out of the top 500 stocks in the US stock exchanges when we look at this. So for the S&P, we actually closed on the S&P up 0.32%, so almost up 1/3%. And so this is something that could come back down to retest these all-time highs right around 467. I don't know that we're done moving yet, but we are in the significantly overbought territory on a daily basis for both indices. Now, when we got to the weekly chart, we're actually tagging 70. I think it's pretty much the same for the Qs, by the way. If I go to the weekly chart on this one, And there was the weekly chart. Yep, there we are. And I'm using the RSI 12, by the way. If you're using the RSI setting of 14, then for you might not be quite there yet. So we could move a little bit up yet. We're going to have to wait and see, but we are coming in on Friday. And that's going to be a day where not only do we have the triple witching, but there's likely to be a lot of profit taking that's out there. I did take some of my profits already, and I barely slightly repositioned. I actually want to see how this week ends, and maybe I take more positions on Friday, but if they're options positions, I don't like to hold those over the weekend, especially if they have short expiration, because I don't want to get eaten up by time value. Now, IWM tracking the Russell 2000. Look at this if you can see on your screen. QQQ, so tracking the NASDAQ 100, down 0.09%, SPY up 0.32, and then you go to IWM up almost 3%, up 2.78%, and I said that we would find resistance right around 200, and if I zoom in on this yellow line that you see here is where 200 is at, and our high price today in the IWM tracking the Russell 2000 was $200.04. We closed at 198.71 on excellent volume here, and I would believe that there's no small amount of short covering. I've been covering this for a long time. Like even before we had this inverse head and shoulder, I said when we start to suspect that rate cuts are going to happen, that IWM, the Russell 2000 stocks, are going to outperform, and that's exactly what happened. Moving on from there, SoFi, I mentioned the bank stocks. SoFi is shaping up real nice for us. I said 950 would be where we find resistance. Where do we peekaboo up to when we look at SoFi's price today? We opened today at $9.75 and then came rushing right back down from that. 950, I have this line on here because somebody asked me over in the Discord, where's resistance for this thing? They asked me yesterday. I said, we'll find it at 950 and we'll find really hard resistance at $10. We didn't make it to $10 yet, but I do think that we have enough fuel that can get us there before it starts really coming crashing back down on us. So we're going to have to watch and see for SoFi, but we do have a little bit of settling on there. Let's go out to the daily chart for SoFi to see where we're at and check that out. That high wick at the top, maybe we still have more downward pressure to go. Those volumes are very convincing for us, and I think that was still some more short covering as we look at SoFi. So for SoFi, bullish long-term position on SoFi. I also play the options. This is one I did not play, although I most definitely should have, because those options wouldn't have been all that much premium risk to get into and would have paid off very handsomely. Now, something that I did get into, which cost a little bit more risk premium, and that was the call option that I purchased just after 2 p.m. on Wednesday, before Jerome Powell came out and spoke at 2:30. I had this call option figuring that this would be very good for me, and so that was yesterday. I read around $100, so 100 is right here-ish on there it is, actually landed on exactly. That's $100 on the chart. That's about where I was when I purchased that call option, and we moved up $20. And that $20 for that premium, for a $100 strike is what I bought. So I bought it at the money. That's a $2,000 just an intrinsic value play right there for that one. So I did happen to sell this one when the stock price was down below 120. I think it was like about 118 or something. So when I sold that, I ended up making for that one 194% gain. So that's almost taking the value that I paid for it and almost 3xing. And that was absolutely astounding and wonderful. Normally, I'm used to 30% gains, 40% gains, sometimes 50% gains. Sometimes I 2x, but to go almost 3x on something like that was incredible. And I'm glad that I was watching for the solar stocks to do well and outperform, and Enphase most definitely delivered. And this is one. We have that resistance at 120. If you've been watching my videos, you know I had that target there. We managed to break over 112 and hit that target of 120. We actually peekabooed up over it, up to 123.84 before pulling back and closing at 120.22. So we still have that as resistance, by the way. We hit the target. I'm out of that play. It was awesome. Made my cash. On to the next opportunities. Now, mind you, I do think that with the triple witching coming up, that we could see more of a rotation into some of the solar stocks for Q1 setting up, I should say, for the end of Q4 here and rolling into Q1 for that performance coming up into a lot of portfolios, including institutional investments. So for solar, I think it's a sector to pay attention to. I do like Enphase for this one. It has paid handsomely, and I still think that these other targets, even if it's not short term, I still think that there's still very good possibilities moving forward from where we're at right now, especially if GDP is something that really holds out while inflation continues to drop and labor markets stay tight. So I know that's a lot, but be on the lookout for those things. Tesla, I said that we had resistance at 245. We break that. We have room up to 250. Anybody want to take a guess? I think I already spoiled this one. We closed today for Tesla at 251.05. Our low price today, low, was 228. Oh my gosh, came down and tagged with this 50-period EMA here before, where did we open this thing actually? Let's see the open. The open was at 242, came all the way down to 228, and then closed anyway up above 250. So that resistance, that target that we had there at 250, good. Actually, the targets that average 260 and 268. I think that Tesla still, where the RSI is positioned on the daily chart that we have here, the price action that we have here. And I would say, I don't know that we're quite out of the bearish channel yet, but man, we are darn close on this one. So we want to be watching for Tesla to go up above that. Should it make 260, it's out of the bearish channel, and then we're on to a new pattern. So we want to be watching Tesla because I do think that there's still some legs under it, and I still think that we can move forward pretty handsomely with Tesla over time. So keep an eye out, keep watching it, see if resistance breaks, see if support holds. We're going to have to watch for those things as it plays out and I give further updates from there. So I hope that I helped you out with putting Tesla on your watch list early and you were able to capitalize on it. Google, I wanted to throw in there big tech because this one did not make it to that 140 that I was looking for. It actually had to break 140 in order for this inverse head and shoulders to play out. So far, it is not yet broken. The inverse head and shoulders is still alive, but it is not confirmed. We actually need to return to 140 and break it. Should we break 140, we have room up to 150. We're going to have to watch this trend line that I have here for support. It actually worked pretty darn well as support. We bounced off of that, and where did we close? We closed this thing at 133.20. So for Google, this play possibly could be something that actually grows legs and takes off. We're going to have to wait and see if we start to approach that 140 first. Now, according to Stockmo's bread recipe, if you're one that follows that, this is one that should we cross that 50 in the RSI and we break up above these moving averages that we have for the 50 EMA and SMA, these are ones that could possibly be very good for us moving in a bullish direction. If we break down through this support that we have here, that's a pretty far fall from where we're at. 130 down to 120. We don't want to see the price go down below 133 because that can actually break this shoulder that we have over here. Wouldn't necessarily cancel the pattern entirely. Certainly if we got down to 123, it really could. So that's the downside of that. The upside for me, I'm not taking a position in Google. I haven't touched it since I brought it up recently, and it's one that only should we break 140, or that's most likely when I will get in to really watch that inverse head and shoulders play out, because that could be a very powerful bullish move for us to see that formation there. Now, the last one that I wanted to share with you is PLTR. That's right, Palantir. And I talked about this in my morning video. And today, man, look at that. Look at that doji, look at that candle that we have there, more like a spider candle. As we look at it here, the green is crossing the red. So the 5 is crossing the 50. We actually want to see it cross this yellow right here, which is the 13 period. These are all EMAs. The red, yellow, green that we have on here, the traffic light. Thanks again, Stockmo, for that vocabulary talking about it. The volume was decent today. The RSI is still below 50. Can't touch this yet. And there's a reason why I don't do that kind of stuff very often, because I'm absolutely terrible at rhythm and all that kind of stuff. And so MC Hammer, I'm sorry that I did that to your music. I respect the music and the work that you do or did. So should we see that green cross the yellow, we do have room on this moving up to about $19 per share, even up to about 20 or 20.50. So we're going to be watching for that. It is possible that Palantir is something that flips bullish from where it's at, and it sets up the next great opportunity for us. So I most definitely am watching that one. I have that on my watch now list. Something that's like my eyes need to be on this actively every day in the markets, looking for that opportunity to pop and be ready to go. So let me put something else up for you just real quick, and then I'll summarize this thing. If you want to see how I'm playing these markets, see all my buys and sells and the options that I'm using in order to really add alpha to my portfolio, those are all shared through the Patreon over at the Discord. I put all my buys and sells over there. And then I also have my options course available to you. If you're interested in options and looking to amplify your portfolio through the power of options, that course is being built out right now. And then also the free stocks from Mumu. Go ahead and check out that offer by using the link also found down in the description. You got to make the proper deposit, $100 to $1,000, I believe it is, are the deposit levels now, in order to take advantage of those free stocks. All right, guys, let's summarize this thing for you. So the indices, the SPY, the Qs, even IWM, tomorrow with the triple witching, we could see a little bit of a pullback. We could see them stay pretty much where they're at, but have rotations in the different sectors. Watch some of the beaten down stocks really continue to take off. There's going to be a lot of profit taking, I think, especially after the very strong week that we've had. And it's going to be super interesting. And I can't wait for tomorrow to come along and actually look for the different plays that have arise in the market. And I wanted to share some of the other things that I had with you. Some things. So I told you about Enphase. Enphase was 194% profit. I should have given that one last. TQQQ, I mentioned that I was in calls for that. That was a 46% profit today that I took advantage of. And I also closed out my TMF $4 leaps play for January 2025. I closed that out for a 93% profit, just taking some of the risk off the table given the moves that we have, even though I do expect even stronger moves coming for TMF as we go throughout 2024, and I still have other leap options and TMF that I hold directly in my portfolio as well. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I also positioned myself with some more calls expiring January 19 because I do believe that we have more higher highs coming in the way in the lines of what we see in the NASDAQ 100. So there, shared it with you guys. If you want to see more about how I'm playing these markets and talk with me and my community members, that link for the Patreon is down in the description. And then also the link for Moomoo is down there as well, guys. Go ahead and check that out. Get your free stocks and get access to a wonderful trading platform. As always, guys, thank you for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.